Good morning, everybody. We got no Tyler for the thwip thwip. He's got it down so well too, but his son is graduating from high school today, and go figure, he wanted to be in Chicagoland to be a part of that. So this morning's normal episode of 22 Panels, our friend of the pod, Andy, has joined me.
Hello, everyone.
Neither one of us are particularly
Tad.
awake, so
Yeah,
hopefully this is not a train wreck. That's all I
yeah.
can
We'll
say.
see how it goes.
So Andy, thank you for having me out in Pittsburgh. I hope
Oh,
you had
yes. Oh, we should talk about that some too, right? Yeah.
well, of course. I mean that we I worked that into our reworked Great Responsibility because we went to a couple stores out there. But it was nice to get to see PNC Park. It was nice to meet your family. You've got a very nice family.
We had a very nice time. Everyone was very
Good time.
complimentary.
And we went out and we saw Josh Gibson's grave the day before he became the
Yeah,
the batting
which
champion.
was really interesting that happened
Right.
after we were there, right? So,
There are some interesting commentary on that. There are a lot of people, and I agree with them, that want to make it clear that he's the Major League, not the Major League Baseball batting champion, and that's more from the people that don't want to minimize the Negro leagues and don't want him becoming the batting champion to allow for like a rewriting of history. So people looking at stats down the road think that he was allowed to play ball
yeah,
with
exactly. Yes. And
um
that's a good point, right?
which little inside baseball here. We were prepping for to talk about Stamp from the beginning, and I dropped the ball and didn't manage to reread it as well as I would have liked. So we decided to push that off for another day because I want to give Ibram X. Kendi and Joel Christian Gill their due.
Which is a fantastic
With
book
an
too,
amazing,
right? Yeah,
amazing book. But
yeah,
one of the things it deals with is, overt racism and assimilation racism. And, I'm glad that there are voices right out of the gate on this one saying, look, it's fantastic that he's getting his due.
yes,
It sucks that it took this long for him to get his due. He shouldn't need Major League Baseball for people to know who he is.
yeah,
And don't use like giving them credit as the way to pretend that this dark
yeah.
period of Major League history didn't happen.
Yeah. It's not whitewash it, right? You use
Right,
dark and I use
right.
whitewash, but I mean, seriously, it's like they can't just say like 100 years from now, people are like, oh, they were so, and no, it was not very nice for him,
Right.
you know.
Well, and I love that right out of the gate they had their strong arguments against the likely detracting arguments from people who didn't want to say that it was a race thing, but wanted to come up with like statistical reasons,
Yeah,
Oh, they didn't play as many games. Well, they did play as many games. They just weren't all league games, and their travel
yeah,
conditions were worse. And
yeah, exactly, right? Yeah,
oh, he didn't have to face white pitchers. Yes, and Babe Ruth never had to face Satchel Paige or Hilton
yeah,
Smith or
exactly,
John
yeah,
Donaldson.
exactly. So if you're going to include one, you got to include the other.
Right,
Yeah,
right. So, there's no good argument
yeah,
against Negro League data not being major league quality,
yeah, exactly.
you
There's
know.
it's whatever you can say for it, you can say against it, right?
Right, right.
And the other thing I found kind of funny is like they got rid of one of the biggest racists in the
Yeah.
game.
Well, didn't get rid of, but knocked him out of the
No,
top
yeah,
spot.
yeah, yeah. He knocked him from the top spot, right?
366 is no longer the hallowed number. It's now
Hmm.
372.
It's just funny to me. It's like,
It
wow,
is. It is.
yeah,
It's funny that
ironic. Is that
that
irony or yeah,
yeah. Well, and I'm
yeah,
also thinking, think of how Hank Aaron had to what he had to deal with when he was chasing Ruth. And
yeah,
now Ruth's been knocked out of two more categories
yeah.
by a black man.
Hmm.
And Ruth reportedly was much more even-handed.
Mm.
He hung out with black ball players. He liked watching black ball players play
Oh, that's
games,
good. Yeah,
that
I
sort of
never
thing.
heard that he was a racist. That's for sure. But I
Yeah,
mean, yeah.
no, I mean, I actually had a friend, Johnny, sent me an article
Oh,
about apparently his daughter actually thinks that like that was one of the reasons he didn't get to be a manager. I don't know if I take it that far because I don't see a lot of evidence that Ruth was promoting integration. He
yeah,
just enjoyed baseball wherever it was and didn't
yeah.
view them as any different.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, so that was a fun fun
Yeah,
coincidence to have
that was
been
nice.
like
That was very cool.
standing with Josh Gibson's
Yeah,
essence spirit, and I loved the just random baseballs and trophies that people have
yeah.
left.
Like Little League
Not
trophies were there.
Yeah,
Not,
like
not even like, yeah,
clearly, personal items from people who
yeah.
weren't family, just placed
Putting
around
stuff
the
there. Yeah.
grave was really
And a
uh,
shout out to the Allegheny Cemetery too. If you're ever in that area,
it's a beautiful cemetery.
it's an amazing cemetery. I'm not
It's
even a
beautiful.
cemetery person. Like you and I were talking,
Old
like we're gonna run out of space.
cemeteries,
Yeah,
old
that was
cemetery. There
legit.
are a few of them in Chicago. I mean, in one of the books I'll talk about briefly later, um, they featured one in volume 1. I mean,
Mm.
my favorite thing is Monsters had that scene in one of the
Oh,
gorgeous old cemeteries in the first book.
I don't. I gave my favorite thing is Monsters Volume One away,
You got to
so I
buy
don't
another
have it
one,
to reread. Right. So
or
yeah.
buy a digital one.
Oh yeah. No, I'll re get it. I mean, I gave it to my brother-in-law,
Oh, I
and
completely understand.
yeah,
I completely. That's actually a book that I have 2 copies, so that I have a lending
yeah,
copy and.
yeah. Well, if I ever see it anywhere used, I definitely do that. But I'm thinking about
Right,
reordering it anyway
right.
because I got two now, and I want to remember where we're at, or at least flip back
Oh
to it.
yeah, oh yeah. So, some comics news this week. A couple of big ones in terms of, comics may not be as dead as they have been made out to be. Um, Dav Pilkey announced the newest Dogman book, the 13th. Big Jim Begins coming in December 3rd. It's going to have some origin stories going on. Dav Pilkey, for people who don't know, is both Captain Underpants and Dogman. Dogman has sold more than 40 million copies
Mm,
worldwide in
yeah,
47 different languages.
yeah,
Um, so young people are reading comics that might be reading them in a different form, but that just means the industry needs to adapt to make certain that
yeah,
there are comics that attract them at each age level that they hit.
yeah.
I actually
Agreed.
need to talk to Tyler. I feel like we need to do a dive into Dogman at some point. I haven't managed to read it yet, but Kelly read the first volume and thought it was cute and funny and like well done. And that's the other
Yeah.
thing. I mean, so many of the kids' books are good comics.
Hmm.
They're not just dumb whatever.
No, exactly. Well, my son Dylan, who's my oldest, who's 30 years old, he dressed up as Captain Underpants for the book parade in our school
Oh,
back in
nice.
Georgia. Yeah.
Nice.
So yeah, we read those. Yeah. And you know, uh Smile or any of those books, right? Yeah,
Right.
fantastic. Yeah.
Right. And then on the other end of the spectrum, the nostalgia end, Skybound has the G.I. Joe rights at this point. They've been doing great stuff with new stuff. I think we both might be talking a little bit about G.I. Joe stuff later. I can't believe I'll be reading a G.I. Joe book soon. Um, because G.I. Joe was never my thing. Um, but they put a compendium up on Kickstarter that has the
Mhm.
whole Marvel 155 issue run, the Larry Hama and all sorts of different artists, in a 4 volume set. It funded in 6 minutes,
Wow.
and by the end
1
of 40,
million. Yeah.
by the end of 48 hours, it had cleared a million.
Mm.
It had cleared the $1 million mark. So, again, rumors of the demise may be um,
Yeah.
premature.
Yeah. Yeah. Rumors
And
of my
then
death have been greatly exaggerated, right? So
right. And then, just stepping away from the world of comics for a moment, how nice was it to hear Guilty 34 times in New
I'm sorry,
York?
what? What are you talking about?
Guilty,
I don't even,
guilty,
yeah. Oh,
guilty,
yeah, yeah,
guilty. I mean, I guess we didn't get to hear it because, there were no cameras in the
yeah.
courtroom, but it
It was
got out
apparently
really
CNN
fast.
did like a countdown or something. It was the news is just so. Ugh. I mean, I get tired of the news, but I
I
mean,
do
and the
sometimes
news
too,
itself I like, but I'm
but at
like,
the same
yeah, yeah.
time, I mean, this is something that had to be covered.
Hmm.
Um,
You didn't have to have like a count
no,
on
but it's
screen.
at some point you
Yeah.
got to figure out some way to I mean, one of the difficulties of the Trump era is that it can get overwhelming in terms of all of this shit, which doesn't mean that we shouldn't pay attention to it.
No, exactly. Yeah. But just don't
So
turn it
you have
into
to
like,
somehow find
yeah.
that balance between how do I keep people interested
Yeah.
in
That's
this
fair.
thing
You know
that
what I'm going
keeps
to do?
happening and happening and happening and happening and happening.
So I'm going to do top 10, Trump trials and or settlement cases, right? Like,
Right.
and I'm going to do it like David Letterman. I'll slip a
There
few
you
jokes
go.
in there
I
too, but
mean,
yeah, I'm
that
going to
that
do
would
that and
that
post
would
it. That's a good way to
absolutely
do it.
be an
Yeah.
option to do it.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, no, and he walked out of the courtroom and talked about it being rigged because,
Hmm.
that's what we want, a future president of the United States that or, or a possible future. I hope to
Hmm.
God it's not an actual, but he's a candidate, and that's just totally what you want in your presidential candidate. Somebody who believes that the bedrock of the system is
Is
completely flawed as anytime it doesn't go his way.
Yeah, exactly. Basically, I read an interesting article about Trump, and of course, all this is happening at the same time. And it just questions how he is. But they mentioned the difference between a cult and a movement, and a movement has ideologies at its underpinning. Women's right
Right,
to vote, civil rights
right,
movements. There's an
right.
underpinning there. It doesn't matter if you kill Martin Luther King Jr. or whatever, right?
It keeps
It
moving.
keeps going. But a cult is based on one person,
Right.
and usually the ideology
You don't
changes
hear about
depending
the
on,
Branch
yeah,
Davidians very much
yeah,
anymore.
no, yeah, or like once you lose, it is the whole cut off the head, the snake dies or whatever, right?
Right.
But I think for Trump, it's potentially that once we can get past him, maybe the case because it's definitely more about him than it is about
Well,
anything he
and even his
believes.
followers are so disjointed in terms of what they actually believe in, other
Hmm.
than the fact that, oh, he'll do well. I don't see
Well,
anybody
remember,
stepping
yeah,
into that void.
yeah, he was pro-choice and then not
Right.
pro-choice and then pro-choice and then not pro-choice and
Well,
now
and
he's back. Yeah.
I loved Hillary Clinton pointed out to us at one point not long ago that this whole rigged if it doesn't go my way like predates his politics.
Oh
When
yeah.
he lost the Emmys, they were
Hmm.
rigged because clearly the Apprentice should have won,
Should have won. Yeah.
except that it was rigged, completely
Hmm.
unfair, lame Emmys.
Yeah. Exactly. Right.
This is just
Yeah.
how he rolls.
Hmm.
Um, I mean, there's a deeper discussion in generational wealth there, that he's like had his entire life where, oh, if it doesn't go my way, it must mean somebody hates me.
Yeah. Exactly. Right.
Because otherwise, I get what I want, right?
Hmm. I'm the
Uh,
best at everything. Right.
right, right. So let's talk some new comics.
Yes.
Tyler and I haven't recorded our full on list, so I don't know if that'll wind up getting plopped in for listeners here or whether it'll still be next week before we go through this full list. But we're going to highlight some stuff. Andy, talk to us about Babs.
Well, Babs is from Garth Ennis and Jason Burrows, right? And
Right.
you know, it's it's at Ahoy Comics, which also I like Ahoy Scout. Some of these comics, uh, I'm really getting into a lot of these smaller comic um,
Publishers.
companies and these publishers. And when I say smaller, it's not fair to call them smaller. They're doing some great work, but um, it's a Babs. It says meet Babs, a barbarian thief with itchy metal wardrobe and the world's worst enhanced sword. So right there, I'm like, yeah, I'm ready
Named
to read that.
Barry. Don't forget that. The
Well, the
sword is
sword is
named
named
Barry.
yes, right. But like I said, the itchiest metal wardrobe. I mean, it
Right.
just totally
Right.
this sounds fantastic, right? And together they travel a fantastic landscape of wizards, demons, dragons, castles, and a band of very angry, very white knights. Very white. Babs was looking for a fight, but she never
Wasn't.
found it. Wasn't looking for a fight, but she never found a bad situation she couldn't make 100 times worse. Right. So that's
Yep.
it. And
And
I was
Garth
like,
Ennis.
yeah, it's
Garth
Garth
Ennis
Ennis.
doing
Yeah,
that story.
yeah,
That
exactly.
that's like the perfect kind of Garth Ennis crazy.
Yeah, well, it
I'm
reminds me of too Barbaric, and
Yeah,
these are
definitely
the
have a,
kind of things. Yeah,
Barbaric. I love that Barbaric and Jim Zub's current run on Conan have really brought good swords and sorcery back
good,
and
good. Yeah,
allowed them to breathe, allowed them to be funny, allowed them to not have to be just, oh, I'm
yeah,
strong and have a sword and she's
yeah,
got
yeah,
pretty boobs.
yeah. Exactly. No, it's yeah. I'm pretty psyched about this from that
Yeah,
perspective.
yeah. And
Yeah,
you're right. Ahoy has just been doing
and they've been
fantastic,
killing it. Yeah, they have.
fantastic work.
Yeah,
Here's another one. We've actually met Carolyn a couple of times.
yeah. It's PP Poo Poo, right? So by
Yeah.
Carolyn Cash, right? So that's cool. 4 issues into the series, and we finally get PP Poo Poo #1. Was it was it time travel or marketing move? The world may never know. In this issue, Caroline discovers a fresh start and is started surprisingly hard to make in uh
Philly.
Philly Philly, sorry. Romance blossoms in First Date, a classic Allison Betchel, I'm not to say her
Bechtel.
name, comic, gets an update, and Femme and Butch and a night out turns complicated and stoned again. Carolyn Cash's gay modern take on the 60s underground comic continues to make readers say, hell yeah. As always, the issue is printed with a cardstock foil and a PP poo poo sticker sheet. So, yeah, we have some PP poo poo here. Yeah,
I've read them all. They're
yeah.
fantastic.
So,
She's definitely taken that 60s underground and just made it more intelligent rather than
yeah,
just working for the shock value. And I don't want to like rip into Crumb or Justin Green
yeah,
too
of
much
course
because
not.
they were
Yeah,
doing
yeah,
brilliant work, but a
yes,
lot of it was very much designed just for the shock value.
yeah,
Um, Carolyn Cash is taking the form and not being afraid to talk about anything. But she's telling real stories that if they happen to be shocking or weird or whatnot, great.
yeah.
But she's not like trying to offend as much as trying to explore some cool things. And I mean, just look at this cover. I love the owl in her throat and like
Mhm.
the she's looking inside on herself, inside her head.
Yeah, right.
I mean that's like yeah.
No,
She
and again,
she's
like you
got a
said,
brilliant mind. And at Nancy Fest this last weekend, it was announced that she's gonna do a guest run on Nancy for a
oh,
while.
nice. Yeah.
Olivia James,
Wow,
the
that's legit. I
mysterious
mean,
Olivia James, who
hmm
nobody actually knows who Olivia is. Even at Nancy Fest, she appeared virtually. But part of what happened was she announced that she's taking a hiatus and has lined up a group of stellar cartoonists to fill in for a while, and Carolyn Cash will be the first one.
very
So
cool, right? Yeah.
that's pretty fun
My
news.
wife is even knows her, right? So
Yeah, yeah.
seen her stuff. So
This just looks awesome to me. Boom Studios, Stephanie Phillips and Goran Suzuka. Red Before Black is a violent, hyperkinetic, women-led crime thriller reminiscent of 2000 era's Vertigo. Perfect for fans of Birds of Prey and Killing Eve. It's the most unpredictable outlaw couple since Harley and Ivy, on a special assignment from the FBI, disgraced Army veteran Val is sent to Florida to hunt down an infamous drug runner named Leo. But she soon finds that they have an unexpected enemy in common, turning the game of cat and mouse into something else entirely. Um, Stephanie Phillips is another writer that I'll follow her wherever she goes, but I've always liked her crime thriller type stuff, whether it's
yeah, it
historical
looks good.
or recent. So definitely looking forward to this.
Definitely like Grimm from her.
Yeah.
One
Oh,
of my
Grimm has been ridiculous.
Yeah, one of my faves.
Um, but yeah, no, I enjoy her work everywhere. And then Distillery, which apparently I didn't like drive into you well enough. Just tell your comic shop that you want everything from Distillery
Yeah,
already.
exactly. No, I
Just
could see that.
just everything. Don't bother to pay attention to what's coming out. Just say, I mean, you can pay
Yep.
attention too, but if you're having trouble keeping up, just if it says Distillery, I want it.
Yeah.
Um, Debuting in September. They always generally get their orders out early. Um, Time Waits from Chip Zdarsky, David Brothers, and Marcus Toe, sci-fi adventure that defies expectation and time itself. Meet Blue, a man trapped in the past, which is our present, sent back in time for a mission he could not bring himself to complete. The former soldier Blue builds a life with Grace, the sheriff of a small rural town. The pair build a foundation of happiness on a history of bloodshed as far away from the trigger-happy corporate overlords that use Blue as a human gun. After 10 years together, Blue and Grace are on the cusp of taking the next step in their relationship, adoption. Before Grace can fully convince Blue to expand their family, the future comes calling. The overlords want their first deserter, and to complete the mission, Blue could not. They have one simple rule: kill anyone who stands in their way. The first of four miniseries by Chip Zdarsky from Distillery. Every issue from Distillery is presented in our perfect bound prestige format, featuring wraparound covers with spot gloss and robust cover stock, complemented by 48 pages of exquisite interior stock. Uh, yeah, I haven't been upset with a single issue of Distillery yet.
Okay.
It's Chip Mosier and I think it's Chip Mosier from Comixology and Will Dennis, who was one of the uh, Vertigo editors and
I
has been
see.
around a little bit and was the
Yeah.
final Comixology editor. Started their own company, and um, their initial run of creators, which was just a ridiculous list of people, um, are what they call founding creators. They each have like
Hmm.
1% of profits, something like that. So not just of their books, but like of the entire company. So I mean, their business model has led them to get some outstanding talent, and they seem to be doing it in such a way that they're both relatively good to comic shops, have a large online presence, and it seems are making enough money to continue making these creators want to
Yeah.
doing stuff for them.
Well, I like the
Um,
idea behind it. So
right.
yeah, there's a lot of good. You did kind of sell me on it
Yeah.
about all the different things that are coming out, and the way you just said it was like, yeah. So I basically just sent an email to my comic shop guy, and I'll put them on there. But yeah, I'll just get it all.
Yeah. And I like that they've embraced the European folio style.
Hmm.
You know, the 48 page over, you know, the DC has toyed with Black Label, but won't like
Hmm.
admit to. They're just like, it's all this size. Because
Yeah,
I mean, so
exactly.
many artists have preferred that size forever. It's just
Yeah,
it wasn't the spinner rack size. And
exactly.
even though we don't use spinner racks anymore,
No, we do not. Yeah.
you know, we're uh
Well, it's like,
resistant to
yeah,
change.
exactly. Well, remember when like you had to go buy stuff in letterbox and
Right.
videos and things like that?
Right.
Like it
Right.
was like you
Right.
had to look.
And
I would
people
never
looked
buy
at
the
you
square
funny if you
versions.
bought the
Yeah,
letterbox. And it's like,
yeah,
are you kidding? This is
yeah,
the actual movie.
yeah. Right. So
I
it's
don't
kind of the
want
same
my
thing, right?
sides
Yeah,
chopped off.
exactly. I think that's what they did with Adventure Man too, like
Right.
Terry Dodds I can't. I'm drawing a blank on who does that, but they
Matt Fraction.
yeah, that's so they wrote that comic and drew it so that it would there was um they actually wrote it to be presented in their large and drew it in their hardcovers, and you actually don't get some of it in the actual comic itself. You only
Oh.
get it in the hardcover. I
Oh.
read an inter or heard an interview or read
Now I
an
have to go
interview
buy the
about that.
hardcover.
Yeah. They said like some of the stuff is actually cropped off. They
Right.
did that on purpose, right? So
Ah, all righty.
yeah.
So, real quick run through some final order cutoff. All the things we didn't do last night. A one shot from Maria Lovett at Image. Big Burn #1, Joe Henderson and Lee Garbett at Distillery. Free Agents #1, Kurt Busiek, Fabian Nikeza, and Stephen Mooney at Image. Greaser, Gemini Blues #1 from Derek Robertson and Stephen B. Jones at Magma. I'm a Mess, A Guide to a Messy Life from Inet Sarfati at Maverick Mad Cave. There's another publisher to keep track of right now.
Yeah.
Mad Cave is just killing it.
Okay.
Almost everything they put out is like the bare minimum of anything they put out is like good but not for me. Does that make
Okay.
sense?
Yeah.
But if it looks like it might be for you and they're putting it out right now, it's gonna be one of your favorite books. They're totally killing it. And I have it on good authority, paying people.
Oh, that's nice.
This has become a big deal because Tyler and I got very excited about things being done by a couple publishers right before it came out that they were like on the verge of bankruptcy and hadn't paid anybody in forever.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And more importantly, owed all sorts of money to Hollywood people that they were trying to get to like sell their IP.
Okay.
That was the thing that bothered me the most about the Aftershock bankruptcy is like you owe significant amounts of money to all of your creators and owe millions of dollars to people I've never heard of that are your Hollywood consultants.
That's irritating. Yeah.
Why are you paying for Hollywood consultants? You understand that the studios pay people to comb through stuff to buy stuff.
Yeah.
Make good comics and they will come to you. And if they don't come to you, you probably weren't selling it anyway.
Yeah.
Certainly not worth spending
I didn't know that
millions
about
to try to
Aftershock.
sell it.
That's too bad. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. And you know, everybody's having to try to get their rights back if they want to finish things or republish them elsewhere. Yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
that's awful.
Aftershock and Action Lab, and to a slightly or lesser extent, Scout have just gone through some really tumultuous business type stuff. Which is why, you know, when Tyler and I were getting excited about Mad Cave, the first thing I did at C2E2 was go find a friend of ours that was doing work at Mad Cave and say, tell me about it. Are you getting paid? Getting paid well? Coming on time?
Yeah.
What's the experience like? And he's like, I get direct deposit, which is words that I'd never heard in the comics industry before.
Oh, that's funny. Wow.
He said, what's more is Wednesday has become my most productive day because if I get pages in by 10 o'clock on Wednesday night, they'll be reflected on my direct deposit on Thursday.
Oh, that's great. Yeah. Yeah.
Which, I mean, that just tells me the very basic thing that Mad Cave did that like clearly nobody else thought about was like hire an HR payroll person.
Yes. Yeah.
I mean, because that's like the simplest part. Like direct deposit and quick turnaround is like the simplest part of running any business.
I see.
Just hire your one expert.
Yeah.
That knows how to file the tax stuff, that knows how to do the bank stuff, that keeps track of the hours or the pages or whatever.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
You know, it's like a $40,000 a year job, but worth every penny of it.
Yeah.
Right?
I don't know why. Yeah. I don't know why. Yeah. That's just,
I think it's because there are lots of comics companies that just aren't, they're made by comics people. They're made by comics people.
Yeah.
They haven't necessarily worked in other areas. So they don't go, oh, human resources is a thing that is sometimes good for employees and very good for corporations.
Well, you think about some of our favorite individual publishers like Jeff Smith and Terry Moore and David Lantham and like Lantham and Moore, their wife is as important to them. Yeah, I realized
Bendis. Allison Bendis has been his business person. You know, she handles all the contract stuff and has forever.
That's great. I didn't know
he's got a whole chapter in his book about he's got a whole chapter in his book written by Allison that gives the bare breakdowns, but also essentially says if any of this goes over your head, find somebody who it doesn't that you trust.
Yeah, yeah. Oh, and that's why I actually asked Robin, Terry's wife, right, to sign one of my books. When I realized I was emailing with her, I was like,
Right,
"Oh, you're Robin." I was like, "Can you?" Because like
right.
one of the books came damaged. It was in Serial, I think, or no, Parker Girls #8 came damaged. So they sent me, or no, I never got it actually. So they sent me one.
Right.
I said, "Hey, would it be okay if Terry signed it?" And she's like, "Sure." And I realized it was Robin. I was like, "You're Robin?" I said, "Would you sign that as well, please?" And I asked her to sign it. So yeah,
Well, the last time we had him on, we tried to get her to join
Robin.
us,
Yeah.
but she was
So
too shy. Um, but I talked to Jeff. I think we're gonna get Vijaya and his Kathleen, and I forget the other member of the team. He's essentially had Vijaya and two employees for like 20 some odd years
oh wow,
for
nice.
all
Yeah.
things cartoon books.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna see if we can get a group thing
Cool.
together
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
because I'm fascinated about how that works. And it's one of the reasons I've been reaching out to everybody and anybody at Mad Cave because again, they're not only putting out great books, all reports are they're treating their employees fantastically.
That's great.
Um, and that's such a good thing to hear.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, the Scout comic, it's Scout comic, right? Yeah, the Scout comic guy is comes into funny books. He and
does
the
he?
funny books guy are, yeah, they're friends, right? So
Okay.
yeah.
Yeah, they had
So
some issues.
yeah.
um, I thought Scott was down in Florida.
Well,
So
this I think it's Scout. I'm pretty
yeah, I don't
sure.
know. I don't know. So a couple more things on Final Order Cutoff. The Nancy Show, celebrating the art of Ernie Bushmiller from Peter Maresca and Brian Walker at Fantagraphics. This is the companion book to the Nancy exhibit at the Billy Ireland right now, which just kicked off with Nancy Fest last weekend. That I haven't actually talked to anybody that was there yet, but word on the socials is that everybody had a fantastic time.
On the
Um,
socials.
yeah,
Yeah.
and then
On the internet. Yeah.
this one's the slightly sad one. Peep Show number 15, the final Peep Show. Um, I don't know if it's the one that he was actually drawing when he died. Reports were that Joe Matt died at the drawing table. Um,
Wow.
Joe Matt is one of the bigger names in like 80s and 90s underground. Passed away last year. Turned out there was one last issue of Peep Show.
Mm.
Final order cutoff from Fantagraphics right now. So Peep Show is definitely Joe Matt was like one of the first comics. He and Chester Brown, a few other guys that started doing like brutally honest autobio stuff.
Mm.
You know. So it's definitely not for everybody. Um, there's definitely some stuff that's cringy. But at the same time, one of the great values of it is that even though it's cringy, it's being portrayed honestly by the person who did it. So it
Sure.
shows that level of self-awareness that they're not sugarcoating their life in the way they portray it,
Mm-hmm.
that sort of thing. And rest in peace, Joe Matt. He influenced a whole generation of particular Canadian cartoonist because I want to say he started out in Toronto. He was in San
Oh
Francisco in
wow.
the past. I could be wrong, but that's what it
So
feels
many
like.
guys come from Canada. It's
Yeah,
insane.
Toronto has a solid scene. I got to get
Yeah.
up to TCAF sometime.
Yeah.
Couple things crowdfunding right now. Wild Guys #1, a mob themed parody comic from Pat Shand and Ralph Tedesco through June 9th. You can go back and listen to our interview with Pat Shand from a while ago. And Traveling to Mars hardcover just went live like yesterday, already
Oh
fully
wow.
funded. Mark Russell, Roberto Melli at a Blaze. I was so hoping that there would be a hardcover version of this, and there is. It's on Kickstarter. I backed it this morning. um, and such a good book. You can also go back to the most recent Mark Russell interview. We took a deep dive into um traveling to Mars.
Yeah.
Um, Mark's a great guy. I'm certain he'll be back. He's writing X-Men. Well, X-Force. Um,
X Force. It's
yeah, X Factor. I'm sorry, X
X
Factor.
Factor. Yeah, it's not gender specific, so that's good.
Right, right. So, Andy, three amazing new books, and two of them are ones that I wanted to read this week and didn't manage to.
Let me get to my list here. Sorry, I was
No,
browsing.
no, no, I get it.
Gromit's Rick Remender, um, his last teen coming of age storybook was so fantastic. I figured I had to
Yeah,
check
no,
this
this
one
looked
out.
so
Yeah.
so good,
So yeah, it's good, and I'm excited to
and
see where it goes.
he works well with Brian Posehn.
Yeah.
But Brian brings the comedy in like serious
Yeah. Yeah. Agreed. His art's
serious
pretty cool.
levels.
So,
Well,
um,
no, Brian Posehn is the co-writer. Have you ever seen Big Bang Theory?
yes.
He's the geologist. He's Bert.
Oh, okay. Well, I didn't know. Like I said,
Yeah, yeah,
I don't know
yeah,
the names. I just
yeah.
put them down. But okay.
Brian Posehn is a comedian by trade,
Mm,
but he's been doing comics
but
a fair amount for a while now. Um, Starting with he co-wrote um Rick Remender's run on Deadpool.
oh, okay.
So
Didn't know that.
yeah. So yeah, no, it's kind of like the Patton Oswalt's got a book now. They're the
Yeah,
comedian
exactly.
comic geeks that like,
That are like, I'm
for
gonna
that
do
matter,
this. Right? Yeah.
Andy Samberg's involved in a book with Rick Remender right now too. That's
Oh,
amazing.
nice. Yeah.
Um, it seems like the comedians know to find the people to write with. I
Yeah.
think Brian's got one where he doesn't have a comics guy, but he's also been doing it long enough now that I trust him more to do one
That he
now
could do it.
without a
Yeah.
comics guy, right?
Yeah.
Um, because there is there is something to writing comics that's different from writing other things.
Of course. Yeah.
It,
No, I would
you
agree. Yeah.
know, Ta-Nehisi Coates is one of the greatest writers of this generation, and if you look at his early Black Panther before he did the five-issue Black Panther miniseries with Evan Narcisse, and then his writing on Black Panther after he'd done that miniseries with Evan Narcisse, and then his writing on Captain America, he like gets exponentially better just from
Interesting.
doing
Yeah.
five issues with an actual comic guy.
Comic guy. Probably
You know,
just
the
gave him some
words
of the
are
basics.
always
Yeah.
great, but they
Yeah.
don't always fit the comic. You know,
Yeah.
he'll tell too much. He'll, you know,
Yes.
not know which parts to say and which parts to let the artist
Exactly.
breathe.
Exactly. Yeah.
Um,
I
and
was reading the
again,
comic. Yeah.
just doing a mini series with Evan Narcisse, you saw him just, you know, get exponentially better right
Yeah.
after that.
Yeah, I was reading
Um,
something recently, and that's what I thought. I was like, they're explaining way too much
right.
of what the character's doing, you know. So
Mhm.
so yeah,
So,
no, but so love that six the six figures and that whole series, the
oh
one
my
hand
God,
and the
it's been
five
so
fists and
good.
whatever it is. I can't remember all the
Six
titles,
fingers
but
in the one hand.
yeah, it's like Mike Carp or Mike Trout. I can't tell them apart, but yeah, to me that those books are really good, and this one's good. So no,
Two
no,
sides of the same story. Anybody who
yeah,
missed it, we talked to both Ram and Dan together
hmm,
about this story. It was a fun conversation. Well, we've been loving the book. I was so happy when they made the announcement the trade paperback will include both. So they're gonna have it all together when they
yeah.
collect it. I'm kind of curious as to how they're gonna format it.
Yeah, that would be
I
interesting.
don't know whether I'd like it better as one issue, one issue, one issue, one issue, or as a
Yeah,
flip book.
yeah,
It'd work really well as a flip book.
sure. No, that makes sense.
So yeah, it'll be interesting to see how that goes.
What would be interesting if they took the whole thing and threw it up in the air and said, "We're going to put this together and
In
not,
whatever order.
yeah, whatever, yeah, not respect the comic order at all. Just that would be an interesting way to do it.
It
You know what
would
I
be.
mean?
It would
Because
be.
nobody's done that before in one of these ways. So that could be,
I
yeah.
think that if they did that, I'd want at least another version available
Oh,
that was in the
agreed.
right order.
Exactly. No, totally agree. But I think that would be an interesting
It
way to
would
look
be.
at it and
It
say,
would
like,
be.
what if we said, okay, this is a new story to tell in a different way.
Right.
I
Right.
think that would
Right.
be really, really interesting, actually.
Here
But
you are giving away free ideas, Andy.
well, every
You know
now
we
and then,
have creators that listen to this podcast.
yeah, every now and then, the blind squirrel finds a nut, and that would
There
be
you
me.
go. There you
Things.
go.
So,
So what's your
um,
last pick? I haven't actually read any of these yet. I
World
read
Tree, or not
right,
quite
World Tree.
World Tree.
Right.
I love that book.
Okay.
It's it's a horror book about the undernet, and it's like a different dimension and things like that. And I really liked it. It reminds me of, not reminds me, but was it Garth Ennis who did Injection, um,
No,
or something?
that was a Warren.
Warren Ellis, yes,
Yeah.
and it reminds me of that a
He
little
who
bit.
shall no longer be named, at least
Yeah,
yet.
yeah. But it's really good. I
Yeah.
mean, because the
No, I
characters, really, you get into the characters a lot, and that's what makes it
right.
fantastic. Their conversations are fun,
I,
etc.
I have heard great things about it, but I've also heard that it's like his most horror, and I've shied away from it so
It is
far.
pretty
I
rough.
I keep meaning to pick up the first trade. I think it's one that I'll do better in chunks than I will in single
Yeah.
issues.
Well,
Um,
it almost I think of it. It's a really interesting metaphor. Basically, you see this thing, and this undernet gets into you, and then you just go off and you just kill it. You just start killing people as much as
oof.
you can until somebody stops you, right?
All
So
right.
it almost sounds like real life whenever we have a shooter or something like that, right? But I
All
mean, it
right,
was,
moving
yeah,
on. My
yeah.
favorite thing is
So
Monsters. Book 2 from Emil Ferris has moved from my book that I know is spectacular to finally the book that is out there on the shelves. And anybody who hasn't gotten their copy direct from Fantagraphics or from any of the bookstores that got it early, because Fantagraphics doesn't care about street dates nearly as much as Diamond does. Um, get thee to the comic shop and get your copy of My Favorite Thing is Monsters Book 2. If you haven't read My Favorite Thing is Monsters Book 1, what the hell is wrong with you? Buy that too. Emil Ferris, Fantagraphics, one of the greatest comics of the last 10 years. Up there in terms of the greatest comics ever written. I cannot say enough wonderful things about this book. It's messy in all the right ways. Um, beautiful art, great storytelling. Yeah.
yeah, I
Yeah.
love the book. Like you said,
I
yeah,
feel a cool people talking comics and stuff coming on sometime soon
yeah.
to tackle my
That
favorite.
one, yeah, this will be one that people talk about. I mean,
Yeah.
this is going to be around for a while.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another book that I've just been loving, Zach Kaplan's Beyond Real, #4 came out this week. I don't even remember which artists. I think there were three different artists in this one. Essentially, the premise in this book is uh, it plays on simulation theory, and a couple has a car accident, and the man is in a coma, and the woman like breaks through into the simulation. She goes off trying to save him, but it turns out there's like a simulation inside a simulation inside a simulation
Oh,
inside a
neat.
simulation,
Okay.
and like each different level Zach has a different artist for.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And it's just it's a brilliant love story, it's a brilliant sci-fi story, it's a brilliant mystery all rolled into one. um yeah, it's another book that I can't say enough good things about. um and we'll continue, and books that I can't say enough good things about. Batman Dark Age #3, Mark Russell and Mike Allred continue to kill it in their, like, Mark, when he was on the last time, said that essentially what he's doing with the Superman Space Age and with the Batman Dark Age, and he's got a Wonder Woman one planned, possibly some others, but certainly a Wonder Woman. Um, is they're each a different Earth from right before Crisis on each a different Earth that got merged in
Interesting.
Crisis on Infinite Earths. So
That's
that
really
gives him the
interesting.
ability to, in this world, uh, Bruce wasn't there when his parents were killed.
I see.
It gives him the ability to tweak little things and tell stories that really capture the essence of characters or explore things. And this has just been, I mean, Superman Space Age is one of my favorite Superman stories ever. This is very quickly shaping into one of my favorite Batman stories ever. Um, can't can't say enough good things about it. Which is why, in a week that Death Ratioed, also from Mark Russell, Dawn Runner from Ram V, Grommets, Love Me a Romance Story at Mad Cave, the conclusion of Once Upon a Time at the End of the World, The Penguin from Tom King, Pine and Merrimack, the conclusion from Kyle Starks, etc. All sorts of good books this week that didn't make my top three. William and Newberry, number one, also amazing. I really, really hard to leave that out of my top three. Um, Mike Oming just kills it. So, um, let's talk great responsibility, Andy. We kind of called an audible today, but I think it's actually a good one, and I think we're a good pair to do it because we like challenge each other to go interesting places. Um, in elevating the medium of comics, I think one of the important things is to help people know that if you've seen one comic shop, you've seen one comic shop. If you've gone to
Yeah.
one Comic Con, you've gone to one Comic Con. And it's not quite that simple. There are definitely different types of shops that'll blur together and different cons that'll blur together, but there's a really good chance that there's a comic shop for you. There's a really good chance that there's a Comic Con for you.
Yes.
Um, you and I have explored a lot of these together. Um, I mean, just this last week we went to an old school superhero heavy, single issue heavy, um,
Back issue heavy, right?
back issue heavy, toy heavy
Yeah.
comic shop in Ides, and we went to the super new school, small space, jammed
Yes.
with
Great.
trade paperbacks
I mean, graphic novels or hardcovers.
graphic
Yeah.
novels, very carefully curated,
Yeah.
um, almost all like outstanding stuff, and the back issues are almost exclusively like old undergrounds or old
Love and Rockets,
indies,
for
right?
example.
Love and
Right. They had
Rockets,
a
that
ton
sort
of
of
Love and
thing.
Rockets. Yeah.
Um,
Fantastic. Ides is the store I grew up on, just so
right,
everyone knows. Ides was the store I went to in Pittsburgh. It's been around for over 50 years. It was big in underground comics at the time. That's where I first got exposed to Love and Rockets when I was 12 and was like, this doesn't have superheroes in it.
right.
So I put it back on the shelf, and it's where I listened, though, and really my musical taste was shaped by Ides because they were
Right,
playing The Clash
right.
and U2 before they were big, and the Police before they. I heard "Message in a Bottle," and I thought, "What's this stupid song about message in a bottle?" And then I grew to love the Police,
Right.
and all this kind of thing. And the two guys who run it were the two guys when I was there when I was a kid. They were like
Right.
20 years old, and I just looked up to them, right? And
Right.
then Ides, the guy Ides died recently. He's a musician. He died during COVID, and he left the shop to those two guys, and they
Right.
run it. And it's a great comic store from that perspective. But like you said, um,
But if you're
not a
like
lot
new
of
to comics and not a
yeah.
superhero fan,
Mm-hmm.
it wouldn't be as welcoming
No, it would
because
not.
you wouldn't even know where to. I mean, you have to go downstairs to get to most of the graphic novels.
Yep.
The stuff upstairs would likely have no
Little appeal.
interest to you.
Yeah.
Um, the staff was nice enough, but it was the old school. You have to talk to them staff.
Yes.
You,
And that even though they weren't being rude, they felt like they were being rude. It took me a
right.
while to realize they weren't being rude.
Right. No, it was just this and I
Yeah.
try to be very aware because one of the things that attracted a lot of us to comics, and that includes people who work in comic stores, is we're not actually that social.
Yes.
We have trouble with the real world. Um, I'm certain that, I mean, I overheard some conversations they're having that were great conversations, but they were clearly between people that already knew each other. It would have been
Yes.
hard for
Yeah.
me to jump into that conversation because there's a
Hmm.
good chance that if I tried to jump into that conversation, the conversation would have ended
Yeah,
because
exactly.
I was an unknown.
Yes. And yeah, I would
Um,
say that that was the case even when I was a kid, but they were more friendly, to me to some degree, but there were definitely
well,
conversations that I heard, so
and I mean, even at I mean, to use an example, the shop that you met me at, the
yeah.
owner is equally surly and doesn't talk to people and sometimes outright mean. But
Yeah.
if you're there regularly enough and talk to him, he does eventually melt.
Yes.
And
Right. And he
you
had
do
and he had the
eventually find
yeah.
the things that you can talk about together.
And he
Um,
hires guys like you and Dan who are very
I
chatty,
mean, in
you
some
know.
ways, we hire ourselves.
Hmm. That's true. Yeah. Yep.
But yeah,
Shout
it,
out to Dan,
yeah,
right?
yeah, I gotta reach out to Dan. I haven't talked to Dan in a while. Um, but yeah,
Yeah.
so
Well, what I
where
will say about Ides when I was a kid, right, is I grew up around that shop. And when I was getting into comics, I started loving the idea of finding old issues.
right.
And Ides was, I just
Well,
thought
particularly
yeah,
in a pre-internet, pre-trade paperback novel or
yeah.
pre-trade paperback era, that was essential.
Well, that was the only
You
way I could
couldn't
get old
go, oh,
comics.
I want to get to know Frank Miller. I'm going to go
Yeah.
find Frank Miller trades. You
Yeah.
certainly couldn't go, I'm going to find a digital copy of his Daredevil run,
Well, for
right?
example, I bought Fantastic Four 11 and 12. It's the
Right,
Hulk and Mr. Impossible. They're
right,
I bought them there. And I
right,
don't know how much they were. They might have been like $8 at the time or something. It
right,
was very cheap. I mean, it was in
right.
1970. But I assumed every store like you walked into, you could get I mean, basically you can get probably just about any Marvel or DC comic
Right.
back issue there.
And
Anyone
and
you want,
and and,
as long as you're willing to pay for it, right?
and that was always a rarity.
Yeah,
Um, but as it's become less necessary, it's become even more of a rarity. And
yeah,
again, with good reason, because the person who's not into Marvel and DC, or the person who's into Marvel and DC but doesn't care about finding the early stuff, if that's taking
yeah,
up the real estate that could give them what they like, it's the
exactly.
wrong store for them.
Well, and
Um,
there's not a lot of money. Obviously, that's a lot of space. Ides
right.
has 5 floors, just so
Right. No,
everyone
I mean,
knows, right?
I
Yeah,
mean the reason Ides can continue to do it, the reason that like um Mile High
Torpedo
in Denver,
Comics. Yeah,
yeah,
Torpedo
Mile High
Comics. Yeah,
in Denver, they
yeah,
own a warehouse.
yes.
They've
That's
actually
basically
closed
it. Yeah,
down all of their other
yeah,
storefronts at this
yeah.
point, but they own a warehouse.
Yeah, Ides was a small store that was over by the Pittsburgh baseball stadium
Right.
field. And then, as my wife says, or there's our den upstairs that has all
Yeah.
these comics in it. But Ides
I
was
mean,
over
but
there,
that's
and they
closer to the size
moved.
of Doom
Yeah,
Planet.
yeah, exactly. They moved to this 5 story building
Right.
years ago, and I asked them, I was like, "When did you guys move? How to go? Blah blah blah." And they said, "Well, we sold one comic, and
Right.
it paid for half of that store, so they had
Right.
some old comics there."
Right.
That were worth some money, etc.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
yeah,
So the other end of the spectrum was Doom Planet.
Doom Planet,
Doom
which was
Planet is
I enjoyed more than Ides at
yeah,
this time,
I mean
obviously.
we were in a room like the size of an average living room. If you
Yeah,
live in like a two
a
hundred thousand
small.
dollar
Yeah,
house
hmm,
or less, Andy's living room is probably actually bigger than Doom Planet.
yeah, and it's
Um,
not even that big, right? Yeah, but
right.
yeah.
My living room is about the size of Doom Planet.
Hmm.
Um, but every wall was floor to ceiling bookshelves.
Yeah,
There was an island in between that was filled with books.
just
And
great books.
and
Yeah,
again, very clearly curated. If the owner hasn't read them all, the owner has at least done their homework.
yeah,
Um, because every book there that I recognized was a banger.
yeah.
And half the ones that I hadn't read were ones that were on my list. And that's and the owner was incredibly, it was
Oh yeah, and he was a baseball fan, which didn't hurt.
yeah. I mean, for that
So
matter, and the one customer that came in, it became four people talking comics almost
yes,
immediately.
yes,
Um, and that's the I mean, we've seen that there. Howling Pages in Chicago. I've heard Partners and Sons and Partners and Sons in Philadelphia, Lions Tooth
yeah,
up in Milwaukee. I need to get to those still.
yeah,
Desert Island in Brooklyn is like that. Uh, there are West Coast ones that I just don't know as well because I don't get to the West Coast as often.
yeah,
But where, it is almost exclusively comics, but really tailored to a more specific crowd.
yeah,
Well, not even really a more specific crowd, but a group of people that probably read a lot more real books than a lot of your
yeah,
superhero crowd does. That,
exactly.
that and I can't believe I just said real books.
I
Prose
know what
books.
you mean. Yeah, pros.
I know, but
Yeah,
I jumped on guess for saying
yeah,
that.
exactly.
But
But
that's
I
how
like
that's
for
how
yeah.
much the idea sinks into people.
Well, and I
Um,
bought like Stamped there, right? I bought
right,
Stamped from the
right.
beginning
You,
there,
you
and I
bought
bought
Stamp from the beginning.
the other thing.
I got Dennis Kitchen's new
Yeah,
Nancy collection.
yeah.
Um,
There, I got the Fantagraphics sketchbooks there, which were
from yeah,
sketchbooks, right?
the
Yeah.
Jaime and
The
Gilbert
other thing
Love and
you
Rockets.
recommended the Boris, not Boris, Putin
Oh yeah,
biography by
the
Andrew
Box Brown,
Weiss. Yeah,
Andrew Weiss and Box Brown.
that looks so good. I
It
mean, I
it
haven't
is. It's
started it yet. I'm
fantastic.
just excited to know more. Yeah,
It's incredibly fantastic. It will both give you a much better understanding of Putin and a much better understanding of why the American right is so enamored of him.
yeah. Which makes no sense because he's a communist and they should hate him, right? But anyway,
Except that he's not really a communist.
of
He's
course
he's
he's
pretty
not.
much
He's
a
a fascist.
fascist through and
Yeah,
through.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, of course he is. Yeah,
um
but yeah, there were so many good things there. Yeah,
and we went on our comic tour a few
yeah,
years ago and we saw like and I mean JHU was probably the perfect mix of the
yes,
two.
I would agree. That's one of my favorite
They
stores
have their
to
back
think
issue.
about.
They
Yeah,
have enough space that they can have the back issues. They have enough space to make certain that they have new floppies in,
yeah.
but they still focus their space on graphic
Trades,
novels
graphic novels, and you walk in, it feels like
of
you're
all
yeah,
sorts,
yeah.
not just the
Feels
stuff that was floppy first, but
yeah. It
um,
almost feels like you're walking into a Barnes and Noble when you walk
right,
into that store.
right.
Right?
Laughing Ogre in Columbus is a lot like that, where again,
Mm,
you're they're not going to not have a new issue that you're looking for.
yeah,
They've got a good selection of back issues, but they also just have a ridiculous selection
of the
of
graphic novels. Yeah,
of
of
graphic
fake
novels,
books,
trades.
fake
Um,
books.
Keith's Comics. Next time you're out here, I'll have to take you to Keith's Comics in
Okay.
Schaumburg.
Yeah. Well,
Keith's
and I
Comics
will say, yeah, like
in
funny books
Schaumburg
out
is
here,
similar
right?
to
Yeah.
that. They're not quite as strong overall on the graphic novels,
Yeah.
but Keith does curate a very specific set of graphic novels. And what's even cooler is that like the stuff that he curates, because he makes certain that he's got like Love and Rockets and Terry Moore and
Yeah.
favorite creators that most of them are ones that I love too. But he's also always on the lookout for their back issues that he then prices reasonably.
No, that's nice.
Half that's
Yeah.
when I get there, the first thing I do is I go over to the box that Love and Rockets will be in, and I'll see what he's gotten in since the last time I got there, and
Yeah. Neat.
more times than not, they're priced at like $5 to $10. I've picked up old Adrian Tomini optic nerve there
Oh,
again
that's
in
cool.
like the
Yeah.
$5 to $10 range. He always like he actually started ordering direct from Terry a long, long time ago because he's like, if I can give more money to Terry, that's better. I mean,
Exactly. Yeah.
the last time Terry was on, Ralph came up, or Keith came up, and he's like, yeah. Uh-huh. I know Keith. I actually stopped in there once.
Nice.
There were some years where he helped keep me going.
Nice.
Um, you know. So yeah,
Yeah, no, that's yeah. Again, the books, right? I mentioned funny books here,
funny
and
books
I've got Comic
is really
Fortress. Yeah,
YA and kid
yep,
oriented. It's got the other
yeah,
stuff too, but I mean, they carved out this little niche where there's this tiny little shop that's also a cute little shop. Like it looks like the type of shop that like as your kids walking down the street, they might ask to go in no matter what it sold, but it sells
exactly.
comics, so they really want to go in.
Yes,
And it's very much youth and YA oriented. Again,
yeah,
it's got
yeah.
stuff for
Steve is such a
everybody,
great
but
owner too, right? He's so
right,
fun to talk to. I could talk all
right,
day with him.
yeah,
Jana comes. That's one of the few shops she'll come to because he'll get a chair out and she'll sit there and we'll all three just talk about movies and things like
right,
that. You know.
right.
So yeah,
Um, so yeah, and likewise, they're different
Comic
cons.
Fortress. Yeah. So
Likewise, they're very different conventions.
yep.
I mean, when people think comics conventions, they think San Diego, they think C2E2, think New York City Comic Con, and
Yeah.
those are great. Those are huge and busy. You can find anything and everything. There are great panels. There are, if you're into it, you can go get your pictures taken with celebrities, etc. Their artist alleys are amazing, but they can be overwhelming,
Yeah.
particularly if you are like a comics person and it's like you have to deal with the Chris Evans line that
Mm,
you're not even in. It's just in the way of you getting to the
yeah.
person that you want to talk to.
Exactly. Yeah.
You know, you have to wade through all of the vendor booths for stuff that you don't care about to get to Artist Alley. Um,
Yeah.
I mean, again, there's
Yeah. The Comic Con there, yeah, I almost relate it to it's kind of the difference between Ides and Doom
Doom
yeah,
Planet.
yeah, Doom Planet, right? There that's the difference, right? The Comic Cons that are smaller or even the comic conference, right? They are like Doom Planet and that you can
They're
go in
much
there
more
and
for
yeah,
readers and
yeah,
it's
and
comic
readers,
oriented,
yeah, and it's
and
slow,
that's like
it's like
your
slow pace, you know what I
right.
mean? Like, yeah,
That's your CXC, your Cake, your SPX,
mm-hmm,
TCAF. I've heard is like that. You got out to the Phillipsburg one that's actually in a high
yeah.
school. I so
Was in high
desperately want to
school.
go
That
there
was one of the
and
most
run by the
amazing
high school.
comms I've ever
Run
seen.
by the
For
high
yeah,
school. I so
yeah.
desperately want to go to that con.
That every artist, Chris Condon was,
Condon was there. Joe
Chris
Kelly
was,
was there.
yeah. Chris was like, "This is amazing, right?" I'm like,
Yeah.
"Yeah, I can't
Joe
believe it."
Kelly goes like
Yeah,
almost every year.
yeah,
That's who told us about it. And I'm
yeah,
like, oh my God, that's too soon for me to get there. But I'm gonna like
yeah.
text Andy right now and say, it's only 2 hours away. You must
It's
go.
not even. It was
Well,
like,
not the way you drive.
yeah,
It was probably
yeah.
10
It was
minutes.
45 minutes. It was less than 20 miles, I think, from my
Okay.
house.
Yeah.
Yeah, literally.
Um,
So,
but
but yeah, it was fun. And then the guy from who did Harriet Tubman, Vampire Slayer or whatever, I can't
okay.
remember what it is. He was there. I talked to him, and
I need to read that one. So
he knew, of course, he was friends with Rick and in the shop Comic Fortress because Rick was
right,
kind of the one who told me to buy that comic.
right.
And that's where I got what was the comic I got? I'm drawing a blank now. The one I said, and you were like, oh, I read that Vault Cult one about the fast food cult.
Oh, True Cult.
True Cult, yeah, yeah,
True
with the
Cult.
V's. Yeah, that was
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
that had to be the funniest comic I've read in a long time. I
Oh,
mean,
so good.
and that's
So
saying
good.
something.
And
That was,
I
yeah,
hope that he gets to finish up Kill More.
mm,
Um, because it's like 2 issues in and on some kind of hiatus. The last time I was on his Twitter
yeah,
page, he said it will be coming. So hopefully,
yeah.
um,
It was
but yeah,
great.
True
Yeah,
Cult was ridiculous. And you probably met Scott Bryan Wilson then. He's a cool guy. He was on the
was he?
he was the
Well,
writer of True Cult. You probably bought
yeah, oh
it from
yeah,
him,
no,
is what I bet.
he was right next to Chris, and
Right.
Chris was like, "You should check this
Yeah,
guy
no,
out," and
they're
I was like,
they're
"Okay," and
they're
yeah,
they're friends. And yeah,
yeah.
you should absolutely check him out. He's
And I said to
hilarious.
Chris, I said I was going to go up to him and say, um, Jason Aaron, I love your work, right? So the guy has a big beard. He looks a little bit like Jason Aaron, but
Yeah,
basically it's
but
just a
he's
big
not
beard.
bald.
Yeah, well, but he had a hat on, so it doesn't matter.
Okay.
so
Okay.
so I said that to Chris, and then I did do it to him, but Chris had already prepped him that I was going to come
All
up
right.
and say that. But I was like, yeah,
And then on top of all of that, there are two other categories of cons. There's like the county fairgrounds
yep,
cons that tend to be much more vendors. So like if you
yeah,
like to go to Comic Con to dig for back issues, but don't like the crowd, your local, I mean, there are people that sell back issues that only do,
fairs, yeah,
yeah, these small
or
fairground type
or
shows
even
for the
like
most part.
flea markets, right? There's
Right.
probably every week they do flea markets and they do the Comic Cons
Right.
whenever they're local and they're
But
around. Yeah,
there are enough of these different, I mean, there's one up in Kenosha quarterly,
yeah.
every
It's
three
great. I mean, it's
months,
like you said, anyone can go and enjoy themselves, and
right.
you don't even have to
And
buy
they're
anything. It's
generally
just
free to
interesting.
get
Yeah,
in, and
yeah.
there's lots of back issues, there's lots of old toys. Generally not at the markup that you get when you're
A big like
at a big con. Um,
regal. I don't know what the word is, but
if
formal. I guess is the
yeah,
word
if
I'm
you're
looking for.
at one of the big cons, also remember Sunday, lots of prices get slashed because
Yeah.
anything they can sell on Sunday, they don't have to take home with them.
Mm-hmm.
This is
And I
way
will
more
say
true. This is way more true of like the booths than the artist alley
there,
type stuff.
and let me just say, you
Though
can
there's
eat
truth in
there.
the artist alley as well.
Yeah, you
What?
can eat there. You can eat there. There's usually like there's hot dogs at the
Right.
county fair.
At the big one.
That
Oh,
one in Phillipsburg, local the high school got local restaurants to put free bagged lunches. Your $5 got you a free bagged lunch,
oh,
and we're just lined up
awesome.
there, and they had the different restaurants on them, and you could just take one.
That's
Right?
awesome.
They were like, that's what they said immediately. Like, well, your $5 buys you this lunch, right?
That's crazy awesome.
Right. So yeah,
Uh, so
that's
yeah,
worth going right there,
it
right?
is. It is. I mean, it's definitely on my list for next year. And then the other type of con that I really um, encourage like parents and like comics curious people to watch for is lots of libraries have mini cons
Yeah, that's cool.
where they both like will highlight the graphic novels that they have. They'll generally find some local creators that'll come and sit and talk to people. Uh, it's really like truly like the exploratory con.
Mm,
It's the I've heard great things about Comic Con. They'll have coloring
yeah.
pages for the young kids.
Hmm.
Why is Comic Con a big deal? Why are comics such a big deal? Well, come learn about comics.
Yeah.
My friend Sarah is setting up one of those for Vernon Hills in I want to say October. Um, and she generally gets like a couple of local. The last time she did, Gene Ha was there because Gene Ha is local.
Nice.
You
I didn't
know,
know that. Okay.
right? Um, so you'll have a few local creators. Again, most libraries, more and more good libraries have fantastic graphic novel selections.
Yeah.
They'll
Well,
put
and the
that out.
reason is there's fantastic graphic novels.
Right.
Okay. I
Oh
mean,
yeah.
and
No,
lots of them,
absolutely. But
right?
but
Yeah.
like libraries are at the forefront of making it so we stop talking about prose books as real books and like
Yeah.
acknowledge that graphic novels are also real books.
Yes. I mean, Stamped is amazing.
Oh yeah.
I've read
Well,
so many nonfiction books that I was never a nonfiction reader. I would read fiction literature, and then I could never read nonfiction. It just didn't
Well,
click with me.
and this is one of the reasons why I wanted, I mean, why I recommended Stamp to you, and why I wanted to give it more of its due than I felt like I was capable of today. Is I actually need to go read the prose because I want to get a feel for because it was based on a prose book. I
Yes.
want to get a feel for. I'm certain that I'm going to think the comic is a better because among other things, I'm relatively certain that Ibram X. Kendi thinks the comic is better.
Oh, that's funny.
Um,
Yeah.
when I saw him on I forget which news show, um, right around the release of the graphic novel, he got asked about, why'd you decide to be a graphic novel? Was it just to get it? I mean, it was almost a dismissive question.
Yeah.
Was it just to get a wider audience or make it easier for people to handle? And he's like, I mean, yeah, but also, and more importantly, this is some really heavy stuff.
Yeah.
It's not easy to grapple with. Um, and to add that visual element both makes it easier to understand, and there's there's a way that you can inject humor in a comic without
Yeah.
without it being without it taking away from the weight of the material that you just can't do in prose.
Yeah, it's the juxtaposition of the two that really works
Right.
in comics and movies that doesn't
Right.
work the way it does in prose because it just
Well, I
jars
would
you.
argue
Yeah.
it's sometimes hard to pull off in movies too, where you want it to be heavy, but you also want that like release valve at the
Oh,
same time.
yeah, that could be. Yeah, I mean, they're
I
obviously
mean,
very different
I don't
mediums.
watch
Yeah,
nearly as
yeah,
many movies, so
yeah.
I'm not trying to dismiss you. I'm just saying I couldn't come up with an example where it's like there are so many pages here where you are clearly meant to have the entire weight of how horrible this is, but there's also something that is light enough but on point enough to just kind of release the stress and let you sit with the weight without the pressure,
Yeah.
if
I'm
that makes
curious,
sense.
Tad, is the prose is it humorous at all? Or is it
I haven't read it, but I don't think
I
it
can't
was.
imagine it would be. I mean, maybe
I
it
don't know
is.
how you would write it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I mean,
I mean,
what's
I'm certain that you could. I mean, like Elie Wiesel wrote a book called Black Man's Guide to the Constitution. Or no, not Elie Wiesel. Elie Mistal wrote Allow Me
I
to
was gonna
Retort,
say.
a black guy's guide to the Constitution.
Hmm.
And he managed to have a lot of humor in that,
Yeah.
but I also think that um I don't know how it would hit with somebody who was learning a lot of new things from it.
Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
I
Yeah.
mean, his book is great if you already agree with him and already are really aware of some of the ways that
Yes.
the Constitution has been, where you're more picking up details and a good lawyer's perspective rather than I've never read the Constitution and here I am
Yeah.
learning about the Constitution for the first time and here's
Yeah.
this guy telling really good jokes, but I don't know when he's joking and when he's not joking. And for
Yeah.
that
Well,
matter,
yeah.
I remember Al Franken wrote, because Al Franken had three great books before he was a senator. It was what Rush Limbaugh is a big fat idiot,
Yeah.
lies and the lying liars who tell them, and the truth with jokes.
Oh,
And
that's funny.
like
Yeah.
each book, he wrote about how it was getting harder and harder to write the books because he had to find ways to make it clear when he was joking and when he
Hmm.
wasn't. And that takes away from the humor. If you have
Hmm.
to tell people it's a joke, it's not funny anymore. But the lines between what was real and what was a joke were getting so blurred because the lies were getting so
So
ridiculous.
ridiculous. Yeah. Like Donald Trump's going to be our president, right?
Right.
Simpsons. Right? Yeah.
Like you almost had to like put all actual jokes in italics. He had to
Mm-hmm.
use way more footnotes to say, this is true, read this. Um, so it's not that it's impossible, but it's really hard to do in a way that reads smoothly. Um,
Yeah.
Particularly the heavier the matter, that you're dealing with to begin with. Um, and that's something that I really appreciate
Well,
about that version of the book is the way it lightens it. But that's a conversation for another day. Let's jump
yeah, I was going to
into
say we started.
bu books that we hope will be spectacular. I
Okay,
love that we wound up
you go
with
first. Yeah.
mostly different lists.
Yep.
Um, I'm really excited for Falling in Love on the Path to Hell #1 from Jerry Duggan and Gary Brown. They both have extra R's in their names. Um, at Image, uh, Love Everlasting #15. I'm a little bittersweet because this is going to be the last book before a hiatus. I know Tom has more that he wants to tell, but also has other things that she wants to tell, wants to do, and artists have a lot of trouble doing two things at once. So they're trying to bring it to a good conclusion here,
Yeah.
so that if it's a while before there's more, it doesn't feel like, oh God, when am I going to get more?
Yeah.
While there still is definitely more in Tom's head. And then the Mammoth #1 from Paul Tobin, Arjun Sassini at Mad
What's that
Cave.
about, Tad? That was the
Uh,
one that
let me
yeah.
let me go pull it up because I kind of forgot. I just love Paul Tobin and I love Mad
Mm.
Cave, so it was an easy pick. Um, it is Something is wrong in the deep forest of Roseberry Valley. Something deadly, something mammoth. The legends speak of something larger than human comprehension, a monstrous phantom that disappears for decades at a time. Now it's back, and things are about to go very bad if four people, Olivia, Jess, Kokoro, and Mason, scientists who have come to the small city of Casbro to investigate a bizarre series of seismic activities in this heavily forested valley, can't put the mammoth to rest. One real problem with this is Olivia's dead. And like I said,
I was on
Paul
mute. No,
Tobin,
that sounds good. Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah,
Paul,
some
Paul,
background noise here.
Paul Tobin and Arjuna Susini are already enough to make me interested, but the description and Mad Cave make it like a must read for me. And when I talked to Kelly Thompson recently, she highly recommended Duke Volume 1 by Josh Williamson and Tom Riley in the G.I. Joe universe, and its collection is coming out this week. Um, Couple of graphic novels of interest, and Man Created the Gods from Joseph Behe at Graphic Mundi, Barda from Ngozi Ukazu at DC. It's a young adult novel based on Barda, and then Secondhand Love, like 80s underground manga from Yamada Murasaki at Drawn and Quarterly. So, what are you psyched for, Andy? And you
I
also have a
so
fantastic
for
list.
Scarlet #1.
Oh,
Uh,
I talked to Kelly about this.
yeah.
I can't believe I'm psyched for a GI Joe book, but
Yeah.
I'm psyched for a GI Joe book.
I was like, yeah, I think this looks pretty damn good. So I'm gonna go with G.I. Joe, right? Which I don't really do, but he is a real American hero. So
He is.
G.I. Joe is there, right? So anyway, um, so that'll be exciting. Like you said, Kelly Thompson. At worst, I'll just read a book that Kelly Thompson wrote,
Right.
right? And at best, it'll be something that I'm like, wow, I can't believe I love G.I. Joe, right? Love Everlasting, of course, 15. Again, like you said, I'm really concerned about this hiatus. The last hiatus with a book I loved this much was Saga. And it really did interrupt the reading for me. I
Yeah.
know it's not for you, but for me, Saga where it broke was it really kind of taught me that I could live without Saga if I had to, which I didn't think I could before. And I hope I don't learn that from Love Everlasting in their break. And that's not to say I don't think Saga is still fantastic. I do. But Life Without Saga or Life Without Love Everlasting will be something that'll be interesting. So we'll see how that goes. And then Beyond the Pale, which I don't know very much about, but it sounded
It looks
really
cool.
interesting. It's yeah, and
It looks cool.
it
I
looks
don't
great.
really know the creators or the book
Yeah.
but it looks cool. It looks like a cool premise.
Yeah.
Um, I had it up earlier and I managed to forget already. It's a war correspondent Hedda Sawyer is looking into the disproportional loss of black soldiers in the Vietnam War. Leads say losses are especially high at fire-based Tartarus, with most of them simply gone missing, their fate unknown. Something sinister is happening at Tartarus, and Hedda intends to uncover the truth. A new eldritch horror from writer Christopher M. Gard. So yeah,
Yeah, no, it looks good. The art really the cover kind of grabbed
wow,
me a little bit
the
too.
cover looks
Yeah,
fantastic.
yeah. With
Cover looks
yeah,
fantastic.
it's surprising to me how still to this day I will pick up a comic because of its cover. Even when I was like 12,
Yeah,
that's what I did
covers are
basically.
important.
Right?
I mean,
And to
covers.
this
Yeah, I
day,
mean, as
yeah,
much as they say don't judge a
book by
book
its
by its
cover.
cover, covers have been important
Yeah,
in all books. But when your book is based on, when your book is words and pictures, of course the cover is going to be important. Um, so, all righty. Anything else before we wrap up, Andy?
I don't think so. I just did want to comment on the cover. Two of my favorite books that I've ever purchased were books I bought because of their cover.
Okay.
In comics recently. Wayward, which
Okay.
with Jim Zub and I'm drawing a blank on my favorite. Was
Steve Cummings.
Steve Cummings, right? Yeah, I knew Steve. I couldn't think of his last name. Who I bought a lot of his original art because I just love that book and he had some of it available. And was actually Revival, which
Yeah.
was by
Danny Friesen covers.
yeah, Jenny Friesen covers, and even the non-Friesen covers were they had
Right.
some that weren't like that as well. But she did such a good job with the covers,
Right.
and I just love that book. That is one of my favorite books. Those two here I reread all the time. So
I still need to read Revival.
yeah,
I've heard good things. I've read the
it
first like trade paperback and enjoyed it and just
yeah,
never
it's not really
got around to the
horror
other
as
ones.
much as it
Yeah.
is a gothic mystery.
Well, and I
You
can
know,
do horror in
mm,
comics.
yeah.
I just the only reason I haven't done World Tree is like all of the words were that it was like
Well,
horror,
that's what
horror,
I'm
and it's
saying.
like,
It like when I
okay,
described
we're
it to you,
gonna
you were like,
we're
no, this
gonna
is not cool.
we'll
Yeah,
get there.
yeah,
Because I can
yeah,
handle it in comics, but I decided this is going to be a trade waiting book rather than a monthly.
yeah.
So,
No,
all
I
right.
got it.
For my guest co-host Andy, this has been 22 panels. We will see you after the next page.
Hey guys, this is Tyler from 22 Panels. I'm here to tell you all about our Patreon. If you enjoy this show, please consider donating to our Patreon to keep this show going. We have many different tiers, all different levels to help you decide what's right for you. Okay, so get on out there to patreon.com/22 Panels Podcast.